So it's April 2020 and much of the country, in fact much of the world, is in lockdown. I think the figure is somewhere near 2 billion people. And actually, at any time like this, there's a requirement to communicate with your loved ones, friends, family, etc. And so I started off using some of the tools like Zoom or Teams, obviously, and FaceTime. But actually, I discovered quite quickly they weren't the kind of right route to take. And actually, I wanted to kind of share with you some of the options that are available. And so you could use the phone if you wanted to. And there's certain advantages to that, right? You could take it outside. So if you want to go and have a drink and sit outside, then obviously phone is one of the things you can do. And it's pretty much with you all the time, and that's great, right? So I've had a couple of conversations. I've joined a few work calls whilst out walking as well. So the phone is kind of great for that particular instance. And the other obvious advantage of that is there's no extra cost. You've already got your phone, hopefully, and so therefore there's no extra cost incurred to be able to kind of communicate with anybody else. Now, as true as that is, there's always the downsides as well. So the best example, or the one that I see the most, is nose shots. So people having their phone down quite low, and basically most of the time all you do is see up their nose. That's not a great experience for anybody, and so nose shots is one of the things I'm trying to avoid as much as I can. The second is actually the screen is quite small, and actually if you want to be able to truly kind of feel you're with the person that you're speaking to, on a phone that can be quite a not so great kind of experience. And the quality tends to vary quite massively as well. Now that could be down to the connection that you're using, but actually a number of times the quality of the camera isn't kind of quite crisp enough to kind of make you feel like the person is almost there. So the obvious thing therefore is to, rather than use your phone, want to go for a specific device. Now that's going to have a cost incurred, and I kind of get that. But usually the advantage is it's pretty easy for anybody to use. Some of these devices are actually kind of single purpose, and therefore actually the chance of them just working and not having to download an update or make sure you've configured it in the right way or some other complicated thing, they just work and they just switch on and they're good to go. And so actually I'm starting to lean towards using a specific device. Now I kind of appreciate that in my house there's at least one Alexa device that has kind of a camera on the front of it, but that kind of requires other people that I communicate to also have an Amazon device or an Amazon account to kind of speak to. And actually the one thing that I got, and obviously you should kind of do your own research, but I got a Facebook portal, and I'm really pleased with the quality of those devices. They are amazing. So it comes with some nice things, like it comes with Alexa, and it comes with Spotify on it as well. And actually it's pretty good as just like a device to show you the weather, or in the many instances we're using it, it just looks like a photo frame that's sitting on the side. But actually the true kind of beauty comes in when you start to use it as a device to communicate with other people. And so in order to use the Facebook portal, you need a Facebook account and or a WhatsApp account. And pretty much anybody you're going to speak to is going to have at least one of the two of those. And so for me, I've set it up to use my WhatsApp and my Facebook account. And pretty much all of my friends are on at least one of those platforms. And on several weekends we've been using this device. Now the interesting thing I found with this device is actually, with everything else you have to sit and be quite kind of close up to the device when you're using it. That's not the case with the Facebook portal. So actually what we've done is we sat it by the TV. We can go and sit back on the sofa, and as we sit down it starts to zoom in on our picture of where we are sitting, and then gives the people on the other end of the call a nice kind of crystal clear picture of us. And for us that means we can sit down, look after our kids if they're still awake, have a few drinks or something to eat if they're wrapped up in bed. And like as a user experience, it's amazing. And in fact, I sent one to my sister and I've sent one to my mum. And now what we're doing is every Sunday we have our dinner table. And at the end of the dinner table, I have a Facebook portal. My parents and my sister do exactly the same. And then we have a three-way Sunday lunch pretty much every Sunday. And it's not quite the same as having your parents or your sister there, obviously, but it is pretty good. So I encourage you to kind of look at some of those sorts of devices, maybe as a means to kind of communicate with your loved ones and friends. The other thing that I've found really cool or amusing for the Facebook portal is actually some of the filters and the story mode. And so I'll insert a couple of pictures in here towards the end to give you an example of what we've been doing. But actually using filters, my son loves to come and sit in front of it, use all the different filters to show his mum and nan, my mum, and his nan and granddad. And actually the other kind of beautiful thing is the other way round. My parents have been using the story mode. And so they've been doing the Three Little Pigs, Little Red Riding Hood, and what they're able to do is not only tell the story because they see it, the words in front of them, but it also animates some of that story on the device that my son's looking at. And like the final kind of amazing thing it is, like my mum can be part of the story. And so in Red Riding Hood, at some point it's changed her voice and it puts like a wolf mask over her head, so she can kind of do the lovely things that every nan and granddad want to do, which is kind of read to their grandson or granddaughter. So in summary, I know you guys might already be using FaceTime, WhatsApp on your phone. They're great devices, don't get me wrong, and there are certainly some advantage to them, one of those being mobility. But if you've got a bit of time and a bit of money to spend, I would highly recommend looking at things like the Facebook portal in order to see if that's something that could just make that communication happen easier. Because really, when you want to communicate and you want to work with someone, but in this instance you want to communicate with your loved ones, you don't want the technology getting in the way. It just needs to disappear into the background. And for me, that's exactly what the Facebook portal has done. So please share this if you think it's useful. Subscribe, obviously, and also comment and tell me what other devices you've been using, and include some pictures if you can. Right, tell me. I'd love to hear how you're kind of communicating with your loved ones using technology in the home to kind of really affect your life in a positive way. Thank you.